Okay, now that may give you a little message, I think. Now
Yeah.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen on this other device. Before I do that, let me open this. All right. And let me share the screen. Okay. All right. There we go. So this is the front page of the NW Publisher app. And it is very much like you might see, it is kind of like an information board. You do have the capabilities. The elders have the capabilities of putting letters and documents up here. We haven't used this so much yet, but again, we're just kind of starting to use it. But you'll see, and so this may change. You may see us, put documents up here. Basically, the documents that we put on the information board, like last week we put up the new groups. I wouldn't see any problem with us putting up the list of the groups here, and you'd be able to see those documents. Down here in the orange, you see the congregation events. And the nice thing about this is there are some events that everyone will see, like the circuit overseer's visit, the circuit assembly, these such, we have our date for the March 2025 circuit assembly, but it wouldn't let me put that in. It's too far ahead. I do need to put in the regional convention. We have those dates. But you may notice one thing here that some of you don't have, and that is this pioneer meeting. So the nice thing is the elders can add events for a specific group of people. I know Seth is our service overseer. He has already used this to set up a group visit, and only that group got that message. So the nice thing is as you set up this device, as you likely remember, and you maybe heard us go through with a few people beforehand, it asks for your first name. It asks for a personal PIN that has been set up for you. So each person's view into these is going to be very personalized. It's going to be set for you. One last thing before I leave this section. The top, this pink one, this little pink box. So some congregations have it so you can actually send your time in from this. Our secretary at the moment is using a different device, a different software suite. So that's why we haven't enabled this. And like Sister Sanchez mentioned, the way you'll turn in your time will be the way you always have, through your group overseer. So let's go to the next tab. Down here on the bottom, you'll see it looks like a little calendar. I'm going to hit it now. And you see these 4 boxes. This is the scheduling. And so, for instance, you see in the life and ministry, if you hit that little caret to the right over here, it opens up and you see a lot more. Now these, you see some icons of a person. And so what that means, especially for the elders, is that means you have a part on that. So I just expanded that one on January 9th. I've got the Congregation Bible Study. So that's a quick way of knowing which part you have. You may notice this top one, there's a yellow and a green for me. So let me open that and we'll kind of go through it. So this is for this Tuesday. Here's everyone that, has a part. You see, I got the Congregation Bible Study. As you go through, then in this green section, you see duties. So main attendant, monitor attendant, microphones. These are all the ones that are scheduled for that. And then down at the bottom, my group 7, you see that green highlight, has the heavy cleaning for that month. Now, we don't normally do the heavy cleaning after the meeting. So we do that. That's like the mowing of the lawn. We'll do that on the weekend, but that will show at least what's coming up, what you have. And we'll get into it in the next tab. It will notify you. Let's say you have a student part, or you're a servant or an elder, you have one of the major parts in the midweek meeting. It will notify you that you have a part coming up. And I'll show you that in a minute. The weekend meetings, let's go to the blue box. The weekend meetings, we've worked hard to get our talk schedule in there. So now with a good bit of reliability, you'll be able to see what the public talk theme is for this upcoming Sunday, and really even in a few weeks in advance. Again, you see these different assignments. It'll let you know what's going on. And you see the cleaning, light after meaning cleaning. So for the light after meaning cleaning, that's group 1. Every meeting day, it will actually, everyone in group 1 will get a little notification of, hey, you have the light cleaning after the meeting. It's fabulous. Again, just to emphasize, us brothers, the elders in our congregation, we didn't design this, but the brothers who did have done such a nice job of really putting all the little bits of communication in one place. So it's just, we have found it really useful. Now let's get down to field service, that kind of maroon box. And you drop in there and you'll see the schedule for where the meeting for service. So today it's Saturday, December 23rd. We meet at the group homes. 24th, if you hit that little caret, it'll show where we're meeting. We're meeting at Clark and Walsh home, and give the address there as well. So, and that updates. So we have not put January's information in there yet. So January, but we will be putting that in there. And also along with that will come who's assigned, so is it in there? Yeah. On Tuesday, December 26th, it says Raymond Cortez. That's a Tuesday. We normally do Zoom. Brother Cortez will be doing the arrangements. Wednesday, when we're back in person, that'll be John Graybill. So if you're conducting a meeting for service, that will also show up as an assignment, and they will let you know that is something that, it'll give you a little alert. Let's drop out of field service and let's go to public witnessing here, because this is really the one that kind of got us onto this app. So public witnessing, if you remember the way you reserved a cart in the past, it was a little bit involved. You had to go to that website, you reserved it. The other thing is you never really knew who was scheduled before or after you. Kindly, Sister Gonzalez would send out a schedule and you would find out that way. But scheduling it was a little bit clunky. So here in public witnessing, you go in here, you see the locations, Michigan Park, Uptown Whittier, and then you would just go in and you would reserve it. So I'm going to put my finger on one of these, and it shows my name. And let's say I just picked the 7 to 8. That's too early. I didn't want the 7 to 8. You just hit the trash can and it'll go away. And then you go, okay, I wanted 8 to 9. And then what will happen is it'll take just a minute or two. But if you look on your apps, it will show up on your app within a few minutes who else is doing it. So this information is pretty live when you look on your app. The other thing, let's see, we don't have any public witnessing on Sunday. I know there's I'm looking at Thursday. We also still do Rio Honda. So, and again, we put these notes as well of where the carts are stored right here. So you can, when you reserve it, you'll know. That was something we used to keep on that Calendly website. So let me just say before, so we've looked at the schedules. Before I move forward to the next tab on the bottom, there's kind of a lot of info right here. Are there any questions about the schedules? Raise your hand or even just speak up. Do you have any questions about this section? At the moment, I don't see any.
Mr. Dipel.
Oh,
I was
Sure.
just wondering, you had mentioned something about the pioneers, that there was something on here that we went over at the very beginning.
Sure.
And I missed that.
Okay, no, let me go back. So I'm going to go back to that home screen, and you'll see in the orange events at the top, it says the Pioneer meeting. Now, Laura, you're a pioneer, so you should see that event on your schedule. But
Yes.
most of the other friends don't see that.
Okay,
So,
that's
yeah, so it's really customizable. That's why I mentioned that. So, as our service overseer does group visits, he's going to put it on here. Most of us won't see it until it's ours. So, and the other thing is once this updates, some of you friends might have noticed little notifications that are kind of in the background that they'll say your assignments have updated or the congregation events have updated. That's a good time to go back and look and see, what was it? So, in fact, well, maybe towards the end, I might add our regional just so you can see that notification. So, any other questions?
Yeah, John, if there's a question after all this is done, who's our contact person? Our group overseer or anyone in particular?
You know what? I would say at the moment, I'm kind of the administrator of this, so you can always send me questions.
Okay.
Your group overseer likely is who you will see first. So, feel free to run it through your group overseer as well. It really comes down to of just convenience, like if you have a question and I'm around, feel free to ask me.
Okay.
If you're at your meeting for service and it's just your group overseer, feel free to float it by them as well.
Okay. Thank
So,
you.
absolutely. All right, we're going to move on to the next tab. This third tab, it's the one that looks like kind of speech bubbles. Okay, so this is the assignments. And if you go to your assignments, more than likely you may have one or two things there, but probably not as many as this. This is the privilege and the pressure of being an elder. We have a lot of assignments. So this will be a good place to really show the kind of things that are showing up here. So I have an outgoing public talk tomorrow morning. That's on here. I have the congregation Bible study on Tuesday. That's on here. And you notice these little hourglass marks on the right. These are ones that are coming up soon. And then any of your parts, now assignments here are just related to the spiritual aspect of our meetings. In other words, student parts, closing prayer, you're the reader for the Watchtower, you're the reader for the congregation Bible study. That's all here. The nice thing you can do is you can, as you see these, you can drop into it. When you click it, it'll show the assignment. And then you can, if you hit that add to calendar button, it'll just populate it on your calendar. So, I tend to live more out of my calendar than I do this app. So it's just a nice way to keep that all in one place. So again, this this particular screen is just for our spiritual assignments. All right. I'm going to go one more tab to the right. And here's the duties. So as you see, we have the heavy cleaning. My group has the heavy cleaning in December. All right. But some of the other duties that would show up here are microphone handler, someone doing the stage, maybe someone doing audio video. That's what shows up here. And again, you can drop into it and put it on your calendar if you so choose. So there is one more thing I wanted to show you in this section. I'm going to go back to the spiritual assignments, but it really applies to both. If you see up in the right-hand corner, the 3 dots, or there's something on the Android side, there's something similar there. It may be 3 dots. Okay. And you get this set of screens. Now, for the most part, you don't want to disconnect. That to disconnect means I'm going to have to give you the pin again. You're going to want to drop into settings.
3 dots. 3 dots.
When you drop into settings, you get this for it. All right. And what this does is it really sets up for you what notifications you want to get. So in other words, if a congregation event shows up, like it does maybe only 3-4 times a year, like the CO's visit, the regional convention. If you don't want to get notified for that, you can just turn that off. You just hit that little slider and turn it off. If you don't want to get notifications for assignments that are coming up, you can turn that off. But again, we recommend that you turn it on and keep it on. Let's say you want to know about your assignments. You want to be, instead of 6 days, you want to be told 14 days. You need a little more time to prepare for that. So you drop it down and you can say, okay, I want 14 days. I want it. It will remind you in whatever time you want it to. Duties, you know, are you know, I don't want to say they're less important, but you know, there's no preparation. You know, if I have to write a talk, I want to make sure that I have you know, a lot of time ahead. Duties, usually just one day to remind me, like, oh, I got to empty the trash cans when we're at the meeting tonight. Then one day is fine. And then this last thing, this use device PDF viewer, that's really just for documents that we would put on the information board, that front page. If you want to use it for, you know, that's really just saying, I want to use what my phone uses for PDF instead of using the app to show PDFs. So for the most part, you don't really have to change that. But these reminders, you may want to customize it to your tastes. So I'm going to close that out. We're doing all right for time. Let's get to these last 2 features, which are some of the more exciting features. All right. So we've done assignments and duties. Now we're going to do this thing that looks like a map. And what it is it's territory. So here you see 3 boxes: personal, field service group, and congregation. So we're going to start doing territory on here as well. Someone could be assigned a personal territory, but we are likely not going to do it. That means it's a territory that only you are going to cover. You're never going to share it. You're never going to have another set of publishers help you on it. You will be the only person that can see that map. Field service group is similar. I can be assigned a territory, and only my field service group will see that territory. And lastly, congregation is likely how we're going to do the territory. And what that means is all of you friends can see these territories. And why is that important? Let's go forward. So you see this territory that's assigned to me. It's 67. The D is for door to door. And again, please, for this especially, follow through on your device. I just opened 67. It's assigned to me. Now I can, if I'm done with this, I can hit that bottom button and it'll check it back into our territory servant. But I'm not done with it. And you'll see that. Let's hit open map. When I hit open map, you see a map of the territory. And you see a number of colors. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Okay. We've been working on this territory for the last month or so. And what you see is the results of that. So every house that's gray means that we knocked on that door and eventually somebody came to the door and we had a conversation with them. Every house that's orange means that it's a not at home, means we've been a few times and nobody's answered that door. Now the blue means nobody's done it. That's a street that we haven't done. And then you might notice right there is a red house. That red house, what that is a do not call. So that tells us, you know, what we know already is like, oh, they've asked us not to come. Now, what happens is as you do this territory, we're out in service. Let's say I've assigned this territory to you and we're working it. So as we go through, you just click. So for instance, I'm going to click on this for one of these first houses on Chestnut. All right. I hit that. And down below, you see it highlights the house, 8516 Laurel. And then you can say, oh, okay, I finally got them home. I'm going to mark it as home. Or if you say, nope, they weren't home, you get this message. It says, were they home? Yes or no. It's just kind of validating that it wasn't an accidental click. So you can say, yeah, I'm sure. And then it'll show you, you know, this is just the first time we've done this territory. Or maybe now you've gone back. This is the second time. So, and again, as you look at it, similar to how the public ministry is set, the CART ministry, this all will update on the other phones pretty fast so that you'll be working a house and you'll be able to say like, hey, this has been done already. Somebody already did this. Now there's a couple of things here that are really nice that I really like. For instance, for some of the friends, say I show you the territory and you're like, I don't know where this is. So you can click a house and then down in the left-hand corner, you see it's a little triangle. Well, it's a square with a little arrow inside it. It's like a diamond.
Mhm.
That will take you to, oh, I don't have maps on my iPad, but it will take you to your Maps app and basically allow you to take, you know, that house as your destination, and your app, your map app will give you directions to get there. So that's an easy way to get directions to the territory that you're assigned. The other thing is, let's say we do a house and they ask us not to call again. Well, we can hit that do not call there on the right down at the bottom. You can do that. The other thing you can also do, for instance, I know Sister Ramey's on here and she's been helping us with this. In Uptown, there's a lot of little, what do they call it? ADAs, those little mother-in-law quarters in the back. And maybe we don't have it on our territory map. So down in that left-hand corner again, you see a box with a pencil. So you can actually write in a note. You can write in a note, found new back house, address is 5601 and a half. And you submit it.
Oh,
So there's certain territories, you know, like to map this all out, they've made it really easy for us. But there's certain territories where we have a lot of apartments and we're almost certain that we've missed a house or an address. So as your working territory, if you find one of those, you go, oh, hey, this house hasn't been found, or look at this back house. You have this mechanism to let us know, and that helps us out so much. We can add that address and put it in like we should. So let me back out of this. So you're in this map. Let me drop into, I'm going to hit this X in the upper right-hand corner, and that's going to close that section. We're back here. I'm going to hit that X again. So we're back in territory. But this is a pretty important section, and it's a fairly new section. This is only maybe 5 or 6 months old. Before I move to this last tab, any questions here? I would not be surprised because there's a lot in here. Any questions to what's going on here?
Yeah, John,
Yes, Bruce.
I see three territories. Is that all that's listed? Or that's all
Yes.
that's out right now?
Yeah, just because we're in a transitional period. So, you know, I think we're going to try and start using this for territory come February 1st. So you'll see more territory populated in there. But again, that brings up a good point, Bruce. Just because you see a territory listed here, so for instance, 29, Alfred Lopez, just because it's there, you know, like you wouldn't go into a brother's territory unless he directed you or unless you had some conversation. So, you know, in the future, you're going to see a lot of territories here. And you may see multiple. I know many of the elders have 2 territories right now, 2 or 3. So you will want to make sure you're going to the right territory that they assigned you to. But yeah, this should populate a lot more come February.
Yeah, so like I'm in Pepe's group. So if we wanted, he's not there or something, he can assign that to whoever's taking the lead in our group.
Absolutely. And that's the beautiful thing as well is, you know, you can see the territory, even if, as long as it's a congregation territory, you will see it, even if Pepe's not there.
Okay, the other.
John, we have a question. Oh, sorry.
Okay. We'll get to all of them. Go ahead,
Okay.
Bruce. You had something to
Well,
follow up?
yeah, are you going to do anything with phone territory?
So I don't know how that's going to work. I do know there is a mechanism, and Seth will likely make some of those decisions, but there is a mechanism within the backend app that we use that once you've done a territory 3 times, you can then turn those not at homes into phone territory or into letter writing. So you'll at least have a list of houses that you can do. So there are the hooks for that, a mechanism for that. So likely we'll do something similar, something
Okay.
like that. So next question, Kenny's, I think you had a question.
Yes, we open the map. We don't have any of those
If you said a pencil or whatever pad at the bottom, we don't have those icons on our map.
right.
Awesome.
We only have the 2 that are in the upper left.
It looks like a folded map and a compass.
Yeah, compass.
In the upper left.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hang on a second. Let me check something.
It shows the map with all the houses in different colors.
Okay.
Click
Oh.
or scroll all the way to the bottom. There's no
Okay,
pencil,
so-
pad, whatever.
So you don't see, like right now, the way my screen looks is like yours. You don't have those icons on the
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how ours looks.
Okay, you got to click a house and then they'll show up.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
No,
Thank
no, no.
you.
That's a perfectly good question. So
yeah, we don't feel dark now.
no, don't even sweat it.
Yeah,
Any
John,
other
Thank
questions?
you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have a question, John. Does this mean that after we work a house, we go to the map and we put one of those symbols, whether it's not at home? So this thing is actively open the whole time we're in the territory.
Yes, yes. I would recommend it because I have seen times where, you know, in the little tests that we've done in the last month, I have seen times where, you know, like you go, I'm gonna fill this out afterwards, and it just doesn't happen. It's best if you treat it like not at homes, As soon as you do the house, come back and update the territory. I did this house, they weren't home. Because
Okay.
otherwise it'll fall through the cracks.
So they don't have to individually give it back to the overseer. It'll be on the map already, and we'll
Yes.
know work the ones that were not home, for example. Okay.
Absolutely.
Could
Now-
I ask another question?
Sure, Danielle.
So is this app encrypted? I mean, kind of like how WhatsApp is? Is it
Oh, yeah.
in such a way that it's not easily accessed by outsiders?
Yes. Yeah, it is. It is. There's a lot of for something like that. NW Scheduler is the name of the application on the back end. We're using NW Publisher. NW Scheduler is the part that the brothers use, and all that data is encrypted. And when the websites, there's no website that has this data on it, so there's no website to be hacked. There are servers out there, but the data is encrypted, as they say, on transmit, so people can't sniff those packets and get data.
Okay.
So yeah, it's all encrypted.
I asked because my industry in the last month has been subjected to 2 big hacks that have taken down nationwide title
Oof.
companies. And it was mostly done through, like you said, sniffer apps.
So Danielle, I can tell you, you know me, I'm in IT. Nothing's
Perfect.
impenetrable. Yeah.
Right.
So there's absolutely, I'm sure a way this could be brought to its knees, but at least the app developers have done their due diligence, and they've started with a level of encryption so that things are contained.
Right. Well,
other-
I would think, in my work situation, almost certainly that it was an email, that
Oh,
somebody
sure.
opened that they shouldn't have, but nonetheless, we do have, as an industry, a lot of, personal information. So,
Well, the nice thing here is obviously we're not, we have the address, but we're not keeping any of the personal data of like what the person's name is. That's not kept here. So, what we will get to some personal data that's in the next tab. We'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, as for the householders, as for the people we're trying to find, there's no data to get there.
Right.
So any other questions on
Yeah.
territory here?
Yeah, John,
Yeah.
if we go to a not at home
Yeah.
and they're not at home, we click it again, does it track the number of times?
Yes. Yes. So for instance, if you hit one of these orange ones, so I hit that orange one, it turned it yellow. It's been a not at home once already. So say it's the second time.
Oh, okay.
And right now we've set it so that 3 is what we'd like to see. We'd like to see 3 passes at it, but we can up that as well. We can increase that to in the back end. We can say, hey, we want the brothers to do this 5 times. So it's all, it's customizable, but yeah, ideally we want you to keep track of how many times we've done a not at home.
So if I click on, I'm out in territory or out in
Yeah.
service and click on the number before I go to the house and it says 3, then we just don't do it.
Well, I mean, if you're out, it's not a hard, fast rule. If the overseer has asked you to do this street again, you can tell him like, hey, it looks like these houses, we've done them 3 times. He may say, hey, we're just trying to catch these last couple of not at homes. I will say this about this system. In my use of it, in the IT industry, there's an interesting term. It's called gamifying something, like to make something a game. And there is definitely a sense of that, of like you're doing a territory and you go, man, like you look at Oak Street. I got 5 houses there in orange. Like I want to make these gray. I want to get these not at homes home. There's something in my brain, and maybe it's not there for everybody, something in my brain where I go, oh, I just want to get this whole street done. I want to be able to say, I know we covered this whole street in December of 2023, which you know, we've been doing this for a long time. I guess I can't really say that because, you know, we do not at homes and we collect them, but over the course of time, eventually you turn in a territory. But to be able to say definitively, oh man, yeah, we did every house on Oak Street. There's something about that that's really strangely satisfying. So I don't know. I went down a little weird rabbit hole there, but I hope that answers your question.
So the blues are.
Haven't been done. The blues means it's brand new. It hasn't been covered.
Oh, okay.
Hello,
So
Jonathan.
yeah.
Are they gonna be able to filter the Nod homes in the future or not?
So there's a couple of things here. That's a great question, John. There's a couple of things here that I've noticed that people have already said. You know, as you see these houses here, they're all it does look like it's all the even. Oh, they might have fixed it. One of the things I noticed is the houses on one street weren't divided up even and odd. And so you kind of had to hunt for the house that you were doing. And it was a little bit annoying. This territory facet is new. And so I expect them to do some updates to it. But like right now I'm looking at Carnell Street and they have put all the odds together. So it wasn't like that before. It used to be like just numeric, like chronological. So you would have an odd house and then an even house. And it made it a little difficult but as I'm looking at it, they did a recent update to the app, the NW Publisher app. So they might have sorted it by not at home. So it's a little bit easier. Right now, as for your question, John, filtering by just not at home, I don't see that as an option. And maybe at some point they will, but right now it's not a function on the app.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions about territory?
John, did you fix the notes so that they stick?
They should. Now, I sent myself a note. I'm going to go back and look at it because the notes go back to the application the elders are using. So I got to go look. But I would still say if you make a note in a territory, I'm glad you brought that up, Trish. Send a message to whoever has the territory and just say like, hey, we found a couple of addresses, you know, just because in the last month, some of us were testing it, like Trish is in my group, we were testing it. And at the same time, Renee Fonseca was drawing territory maps and putting all the addresses in. And so we're not quite sure why we lost a note or two. And it may have just been because we were just kind of onboarding all of the territories. So eventually I feel confident the notes will stick and they will be cleared by the elders, you know, because we don't want a note where someone says, hey, you know, we found this address, we add the address and then the note is there for eternity. We don't want that either, but we would like the note to be there until the issue gets fixed. So I'll have more info for you, Trish, a little bit, you know, in the next coming days.
Okay, thank you.
Jonathan,
Yes, Lori.
I think I got lost somewhere along the way. Above the addresses, there are three little symbols. One is like an arrow, then it looks like almost two pieces of paper, and then like you're writing a note.
Yes. So those three, what those are is the one on the left will give you directions using your app, your phone's maps. It'll give you directions. The one to the right allows you to make a note. And then the one in the middle, I didn't talk about it, but basically that's just copy, you know. So I know some friends keep a return visit book on their device. And so you could basically copy the address using that middle button.
Okay.
So
I didn't right now I'm on my older iPad. So when I hit directions, it didn't have
doesn't, yeah, I had the same problem. So, all right, well, we've got just a little bit more to cover and we're already, you know, classic elder. It'll take 30 minutes. Here we are at 40 minutes. So All right, I'm gonna close this out and close this out, and we're gonna get to this last tab. And this tab has a few different things that we would like you to use, and then there's some things here that will not apply to us. Let's start with the publishers. You know, right now we're not using it, or the general congregation is not using it. The elders are using it, but we just haven't opened that up. It's basically like a contact list. Field service activity. If you so choose, you can use this to keep track of your field service time. That's you know, I personally do not, but basically you just, you know, you can keep track of your hours, your Bible studies, and any credits that you have. So that's what that is for. Field service history, which was a lot more important when we were counting time, would actually show your history, what your time was in the past. And you see a little glimpse of that for September. That was the last month we counted time. Now, for the most of us, it'll just be a check mark, except for the pioneers. The pioneers will have their hours there. My contact info is definitely where I want to spend some time here. So you'll see four fields in there, personal details. And this is your information. Okay. And so let's say you've changed your cell phone, or let's say you've changed your address. You can update this. You just click into a field. You change what's different. Let's say now I live on, you know, now I don't live in Paradise anymore. Now I live in, I don't know. Let's just say I live on Ortega Lane. All right. So then you just, once you update what you need, you hit send updates. It'll say, are you sure? You hit submit, and that will go to the app that the elders use. We will get that information. We will update your info. What is probably even more important are these emergency contacts. So again, remember, we usually like an emergency contact, maybe one that's local, but especially one that's out of town. So again, you just want to, you'll want to say, I'm going to put in my dad. Okay. The relationship, he's my father. Phone number 562-555-1212. All right. I'll put in his email or some notes. And then they do like you to check this box that basically says, I've informed my emergency contact. I've let them know they're my emergency contact. Send the update. Again, it'll go back into our system, and we'll accept it and clean it up. Now it won't show up on yours until we accept it on ours. And let me do that. There is a little, so I have to receive it. I'm going to receive it real quick and import it. And then I basically push it back out to the, and once I do that, it'll take a little bit of time, but it will show up. No, it will take a minute or two. Before we'll go back and check it. Something here is away periods. And what this is for is, let's say, you know, you're going on vacation. This allows us to know. So like Mario will get a little notification as he's scheduling the midweek meeting. He'll get a little alert saying, hey, that person's not going to be there that week, and he can avoid scheduling you. Or maybe you've got, if you're an elder, you know, the talk coordinator will know, like, hey, that brother's not going to be there that week. We can't schedule him a public talk. So it's nice to have this away period in here. We recommend it. The only other thing, we're not really doing territory requests here yet. We're not doing literature requests. There's this delegate feature, and that is something that we will likely use in our congregation in selected situations. And what it is, for instance, Jackson Soriano, for instance, he had a Bible reading on Tuesday. He doesn't have a phone, so he's not going to get those alerts. So for some of our children, you can set a delegate. And what that means is any of the alerts for that person will go to the parent. And so we are using that. So for instance, in Jackson's case, his mother Adele is the delegate. She gets alerts for that, for any of his assignments. So let's see if that was long enough. Yeah, it didn't show. Still hasn't shown. It may have to be. Well, let's try it. I'm gonna close it. And I'm gonna open it again and see if that's what it takes to get my personal. Nope, still hasn't updated. All righty. So we're in this last page. Any questions on this page, or for this matter, anything that we covered today?
I have a question.
Yes, please.
On this emergency contact,
Yes.
and so you prefer someone out of the state.
If possible, that's the branch's recommendation, someone out of the state.
Okay.
But if you don't have anyone, I mean, we'll take somebody. But
Okay.
if ideally they do want someone out of the state.
Okay. But what my emergency contact is going to be out of the country. Pretty
Hey,
soon.
yeah, that's just as long as we have his information. Yeah, don't even sweat it. Like out of the country is fine too.
Okay. All right.
Any other
Where
questions?
did you get that information?
Where do you get which information?
Where did whoever entered this, get that information? Because mine was kind of odd.
Okay, so where we got most of this info is our secretary. He hosts an app that he was using for the time and for contact info. Most of the time, the emergency contacts were in there as well, and we imported that data in here. So I don't know if it was an old contact or what, but if it was something weird, Bruce, please let us know. We'll use this mechanism to update it.
Okay.
Anything else, friends? All righty. Well, let me say again, I took more time than I would like. Let me stop sharing the screen here and get back to. So again, as we continue to use this, they may throw new features in. They may update old features. Please feel free to let us know if something looks funny to you, or if you've found something that you like. Really the whole job of this is to make our life easier, to organize all of our spiritual things into one place that we can go and look. So, we're really doing this for the friends. I think this is a couple of years late on our part. I feel like this kind of came up in the middle of COVID, and I think you could understand why. Because during COVID, we were really lost without having a physical information board, without having those talk slips, So somebody solved that problem. They put it in here, and we're happy to use it. It's really working out well. So,
and I wanted to add that in speaking to brothers from other congregations, it seems like 99% of all the congregations are already using this app. And so we have to jump on board to be current with them and to be up with all the changes. So is it a little frightening or scary? Yes, it is at the beginning. But as was mentioned, the more we use it, the more we'll be more familiar with it. But it is something that's common throughout all the congregations in the circuit. It's like you're not on it yet. And so we're gotta catch up, but we're going to take advantage. And thank you again, John. That was just excellent training. We really, really appreciate it. And I think by our thumbs up from all of us shows that we thank you for that.
Yeah,
Thank you, guys.
yes, thank you, John.
All
Yeah,
right. well,
nicely
have a-
done.
No, thanks, Shelley. You guys
Brother, this
have
is
a great,
Veronica.
yeah.
May I have the number again, the congregation number, and where do I get my own PIN number?
Let me do this. I'm gonna stop the recording.